Good Monday morning. I am 1 week post-transformation. So this time last week, they had already started my surgery and I was 1 hour in, I guess, because I had to report at 5 and surgery started at 7. So my transformation had begun. So today I am already home and I am feeling better. And but I just want to share with you some things before I go back to how I got to where I am today. I want to share with you some things about like my 1 week of progression, because to me, comedy is how I deal with a lot of things, and I love to laugh. Anybody who knows me knows that I love to laugh, and laughing is something that is huge in our home. So here we go. And I can actually laugh a little bit without having huge spasms. So here we go. Over last night, yesterday was like what I like to call a sleepy day. I slept most of the day off and on, and that was okay. I needed my rest, and I understand that. But over this last week, I have found that I am now, it's kind of like I don't know, I've never been in jail. So I want to start with just saying that. I've never been in jail. But it is what I watch on TV, or what I kind of think like jail might kind of be like, but it's kind of like a really cush jail. Because now I carry this weapon. Maybe I'm like a guard. I carry this weapon here. My rifle would be this fly swat. You see, I have 4 dogs, and they love me very much. However, they love me a little too much, and they like to they're big dogs. They're like mastiffs, and or mastiff mixes, and their heads are like this big. One of them is like this big, and so just laying it on me can be very heavy. So, however, I trained them when they were pups that when mama gets that fly swatter, mama means business. And I can make the biggest dog in this house be obedient with just this little bitty fly swatter. So I carry this fly swatter around like it's a rifle. And, I mean, they clear my path. I mean, I can just feel like royalty. But, so that's one thing that has changed for me over this last week. The other thing that has kind of changed is, okay, now you're fixing to see some dirty house, so just get with it, but it's really reality. Let's see if I can make this thing flip. How do you flip this thing? Okay, we're going to try. I'm not very good. See that baby gate right there? Yep, that baby gate right there. Well, that baby gate right there, uh-oh. Lena's taking a picture or something now. Oh, heavens, Betsy. Okay, well, that baby gate right there is to keep the dogs out of our bedroom so they don't get on the bed. That way, you know, I don't get dog hair and all that stuff up on my drains and all the soap and stuff, because they think that they need to be in there close to mama. So, with that being said, that baby gate has this little lock on it, and when Brian closes that thing all the way and he locks it and you hear it go click, it is kind of like the sound of the jailhouse doors going click, because I'm locked in. I'm either locked in that room or I'm locked out of that room. Because although I can slide the gate, I can't yet push the thing that needs to be pushed and slide the gate. I think he likes it, just between you and me. But, you know, I digress about that. But I have my phone with me all the time, so I can call for help. Unlike poor prisoners who are just stuck in there, I can get to call for help. So that is another thing in my life that has yet changed over the last week. Now, another thing that has changed for me over the last week is that when they take your ovaries out rather abruptly, I know it's hard to go through menopause, and you know, you get these hot flashes and everything, but when they just rip your ovaries from your body, and I say that lovingly and nicely because my belly looks like I was in a fight. But when they just rip them out like that, you have these terrible, terrible hot flashes. Like, as I was laying there last night, I was trying to think, how can I relate this to people so they can kind of understand how I felt? And I don't know if you have remember watching The Wizard of Oz, but I used to watch it every year when it came on. And we'd watch it on TV all together, and over the summer. And there was this one point where they would get this bucket of water and they would throw it onto the Wicked Witch, and she would go, "I'm Okay, well, that's me. I'm melting, man. And when I start sweating, you know, look, I have to wear this undershirt. And then I have to wear this top shirt because I am wired to speak to aliens with all these drains and everything. And so I can't just start shucking clothes. That's just not an option. We're going to sweat through everything I have on. And, you know, the chalk line that they have for the police, that's how it looks when I get out of the bed. But it's sweat, man. It's terrible. So this morning when I woke up, I guess in the night I had broke out sweating and was kicking like a wild woman. And I had knocked everything off the table that Brian had sitting beside me. I'm talking everything. My cup, the remote control. The only thing that was still on the table, praise the Lord, was my glasses that I had not broken. And so that has definitely changed. I used to be a pretty nice sleeper. The other thing, okay, ladies, the other thing that has changed is I now sleep with a stripper. I know. It would be every woman's dream to sleep with a stripper. But my stripper just strips my lines. He's not really an actual stripper. But, you know, I figure if he can call me his weekend call girl, I can call him my stripper. So in the mornings when I wake up, I say, yo, stripper, because he strips my lines every morning before we start our day. And so, and this kind of looks like I sit on the side of the bed, he kneels on his knees in front of me on a pillow, and it's just so sweet. He just has to do every single one of these lines, and he has to milk them all the way down. But, you know, I figure that's the closest thing I'm ever going to get to being married to a stripper. You know, because I ain't training men at this point. So, these are just a few things that have changed for me over the last week. I still cannot reach our microwave, which is above our stove. I still cannot open the refrigerator door. I can now open the back door. That's some success. However, I'm not allowed to go outside by myself yet because the warden, he's really strict. I can put my feet up in the chair, but if I put my feet up in the chair, I can't get out of the chair alone. So it's a double-edged sword. But I'm praising God every day that every day is a better day. So with all that said, I think we're doing pretty good. And tomorrow is Doctor Day. We're going to Dallas tomorrow, and I will see my surgeon. And she hopefully will remove one drain from each side. But we'll see. My right side's draining still more than my left. So we'll just see what she has in store for me. Whatever it is, I'm ready. Just let's do something, because let me tell you what. These little dressings are so itchy. I'm just ready for her to take them off and do something. Because I told Brian, if he's going to be a stripper, I'm going to nickname him the Scratcher, because I want him to scratch all these places that I cannot reach. But he says, there's a tube there. We can't scratch there. Well, you can't scratch there. There's a dressing there. I mean, you see this? You see this? I think this should be for him, not just the dogs. But, you know, I digress. Okay, so picking up from where I left off yesterday and filling you in a little bit more about how I got here. So last year, they called me back in, and they said, come in for your ultrasound. So I went in for the ultrasound the next morning, and the radiologist was there, and they did the ultrasound. When they did the ultrasound, it looked like the great state of Texas. It really did. It looked like the state of Texas. And anybody who has ever done any research or read anything about cancer knows that tumors that are not regularly shaped or don't have regular defined borders are more likely to be cancerous. So I knew then that there was a very good chance that that was breast cancer. The doctor had already, you know, scared me with the whole come back in. This is, you know, you need to have an ultrasound thing. So she did all of her scans and everything. That she pulls my mammogram up, and then she says, wait here, hun, I'll be back. And I knew something was going on because, you know, being a nurse, you just kind of know. When they come in, just one of them, for future reference, folks, that's usually not going to be too bad of news. You know, one person can deliver good news. When they come in with an entourage, that usually doesn't mean it's good news, because they want to tag team that. because if one of them gets upset, they want somebody else to be able to handle you. So they came in with the radiologist. They came in with a nurse navigator. They came in with the ultrasound tech. And I knew right then, I said, can you get my husband? He's in the waiting room before you even start talking. So they went out and they got my husband and they brought him in. And he sat down on the exam table next to me. And the radiologist, she was young enough to be my youngest daughter. She was expecting. She was just glowing beautiful. And I could tell by the look on the nurse navigator's face, it wasn't going to be what I wanted. And she had all my films pulled up and she said, you know, I'm over 90% sure that you have breast cancer just from what we've seen here. And I felt the wind come out of my cells. And I entered a place that I'm very thankful to the Lord I've not entered this year. But I entered a place that was very scary for quite a while. I bought into fear, anxiety, stress, worry immediately. And I heard her. I heard everything about what she said, but I don't think that I could even get my head around it at that point. And the next thing she said was, and you need to come in and we need to do a biopsy. And I said, I want it the fastest you can get it because I got 2 kids graduating, I'm graduating, we're planning this big trip, all these things are going on. I don't have time to have breast cancer, you know. And so because I was in fear, I want to make this little point right here. I followed. I didn't lead. I followed even in my own health care. I didn't pick up the baton myself and search for what I should have done for myself. I allowed others to make decisions for me when I should have been my own advocate. And that's real important. And so I said, okay, I just want the first available. Like, let's just get this biopsy done. Let's get this show on the road. I just need to know. So they got a surgeon. He's well respected. And they got me hooked up with him for the next week. And I had said, okay. So I go back in the next week and there's this surgeon. He's very well known. And they do a ultrasound guided needle biopsy. And which means that they're watching on the screen to make sure they get the right spot and everything. And I just want to say he was very rough. I can say that now because I've had another one to compare to. At the time, I didn't know that was rough. I probably would have spoken up. I thought it was just the way that it was. But he did the biopsy, and he took like 6 plugs. On the last plug, it was the most painful plug I'd ever had pulled because he wasn't even where it was numb. And so it pulled breast tissue that wasn't even numb. And then they put in a marker. And they put in a marker so that at any time that you ever are scanned again, they know that that spot has been tested. Or if they should have to go back in for surgery or to look again, that spot, your tumor spot, should have a plug in the middle of it, a little marker, so that they know exactly where it is. Well, my plug, my marker, say my tumor was here, my marker was here. So there was some controversy when my biopsy came back the next week. My mom went with me, and Brian went with me, and we sat in the room, and he came in, and my surgeon was a little bit arrogant is the word I'll use. And the fact that he got the spot. He just knew he got the spot. And that my biopsy was negative. However, my marker was not in my tumor spot. And even though he was so confident, he felt like I should have another test. Now, to me, that immediately sent shockwaves through my body. If you're that confident that you got the spot and it's negative, why in the world would I need to have a follow-up test? And I'm like, yo, dude, I got kids having graduations. I got a graduation. He goes, well, we can't do anything to you for 6 weeks because all that trauma has to heal. So I was like, so you're telling me that I'm walking around with breast cancer possibly growing in my body for 6 weeks because you possibly missed the spot, and yet you're confident that you did it, and I'm supposed to just deal with this? Basically, that was the long and the short of that. So I tried to be as upbeat and as optimistic as I could, and was like, okay, it's just what it is. It is what it is, right? So on the outside, I was the commercial that you see where you have the mask and everything is good. But on the inside, everything is falling apart. And it was so rough for me. We went to my daughter's ring ceremony, then we did her ring dunk for A&M, and every time I was at anything, the only thing that Satan was whispering in my ear was, this is the last big event you're going to see for this child. And I was in so much fear that I could not even hear the still calm voice of the Lord speak. And at this point, I was so upset and so angry, I couldn't even say his name. I was going through the motions. I was going through the routines of going to church. But I was not hearing him because I was so deep and so far into fear. And so we got through Becca's graduation, wearing my mask. We got through Emma's graduation and the surprise proposal for her wedding. And that was wonderful. Still with my same mask on. Still with Satan whispering in my ear, well, you saw her proposal, but will you see her wedding? Still that little whisper in my ear. It was time for my graduation, and Brian and I had a 2-week road trip planned. And we started out, and let me tell you, we're close. Brian and I are close. If people don't know us, then you don't know that we're tight. We talk a lot. And this road trip, we didn't talk a lot. We didn't laugh a lot. I cried a lot. And I'm not a crier. I don't know how much I cried, but I cried buckets. I was broken. And because I allowed fear to rule me. And in retrospect now, I see that. When you're in the moment, you can't see it. You have these blinders on. And you can't understand that you are living in fear, even though you are. It's crazy. And I was depressed. I'm not afraid to say it. Before, I had maybe visited the porch of the depression house. But no, this time I just flung the door open, went on in, and laid down on the depression couch. And I was eating me some bonbons in there, buddy. So I was definitely depressed. And I'm not afraid to say it. Because it's real. And I made it through my own graduation. I remember feeling happy, but happy and joy are two separate things. And I remember that I was happy, but I was not joyous. I had lost my joy. And if there's one thing I have, it's joy. But I had lost it. Because fear and joy can't be in the same place. It's like dark and light. And so we made it through that trip. But it was a tough one. And when we got back, I was supposed to be having a 3D mammogram that was going to be the definitive test for if I was cancer-free or not. Well, God works in strange and mysterious ways that I will never understand, but I'm glad he does. Well, my insurance wouldn't pay for that test because that biopsy was negative, even though we're very confident he missed the spot. And I had been going to church, doing everything I was supposed to do, going through the motions. I had gone forward. They had prayed for me. I had been anointed with oil. I had done everything I was supposed to do. And then now you're not going to let me get this test I need? Anger overflowed. I look like Mount St. Helens, honey. It was just rumbling up from the inside. And I can remember probably the week before this happened to me, I was laying in the bed one morning and I was full of anger. I was full of I was just depressed. I was angry. I was mad. I had so many emotions roaring through me. And Satan was in my ear. He was in my ear. And I remember laying in the bed, and Brian, our bathroom attaches, and he's in the bathroom and he's shaving. And I'm laying in the bed and tears are rolling. And Brian turns to me and he comes over by the bed and he kneels down. And I think he asked me one of the hardest questions he's ever had to ask me. And I think it just rocked my world. And I'm here to tell you, it probably, to this day, it's one of the toughest questions. And it showed me how much he really loves me. He looked at me and he said, do you want to hurt yourself? It was like, I can only imagine the day that the curtain was torn in the temple, because that's how it felt for me. It felt as if the curtain was ripped from the top to the bottom. And like the Lord, I'm sorry, I get so emotional. And like the Lord had just used him to rip that for me. That pure, just love came through. And he said that to me, it just cut straight to my heart. And I lay there for a minute, and here's the scary part. I had to think. And I said, no, I don't want to hurt myself. And he said, well, we're getting up today, we're getting dressed, and we're getting help. And he took me to our family doctor, and we got some medicine, and we did some talking, and he and I did some heart-to-heart talking, some hard heart-to-heart talking, and we did some praying. And my husband, the leader of our house, he covered me in prayer, and he stepped up. It wasn't easy for him, and it wasn't easy for me, but he did it. And he showed me that he was going to carry me when I couldn't carry myself. And you know, somewhere, that little voice that had been whispering in my ear got a little less. And it was towards the beginning of the week, and Sunday was coming. And I'm going to fill you in on that next time. So, when I come in next time, we're going to pick up where I left off here. And that'll probably be tomorrow, and I'll give you a doctor update. Okay, so we're going to get there. We're going to get to where I am today eventually. But I'm a big talker. I can't help it. All right, I hope y'all like me talking. If you'd rather me write, shoot me some comments. But I kind of do both. All right, I love all of y'all. Remember, it's Monday. For me, it's Transformation Day 8. For y'all, let's see, y'all are only like 4 days from the weekend. Those of you who work weekends, happy day. It's your first day off. All right, love to all. Have a great week. See y'all tomorrow.